Welcome to the Gary Null Show, a program designed to enhance mental, physical, and spiritual well-being through science and the wisdom of the ages. Let us take you on a journey of empowerment. Sit back, relax, and get ready to change your life for good.
Hi everyone, I'm Gary Null. I'd like to welcome you to the Gary Null Show. This is the place where you can really be motivated and find the tools for change. Well, now we're going to start a program called Rebalance Your Life. And after all, when stress and multitasking and all the things we do create an imbalance, what do? Let's take a look. So instead of dealing with depression by reversing the process, we take a tranquilizer to numb the pain so we don't feel it. Am I right? Yeah? So even trying to rebalance, we create more imbalance, and the person now is no better off than what they were, except they're not as expanded in their from a hyper to a depressed state. Instead of saying, okay, what can you control? Let's start with that. All right? Well, how about learning number 2, which is, when do you say yes when you really mean no? Or when do you say no when you should have said yes? Now think of all the times in life that you just weren't confident enough, or open with yourself, or you had a good enough self-esteem, or you felt that you were complete enough to take opportunities in the moment they occurred. Instead, you let those moments go. You said no. Or when you said yes because you were expected to say yes. Someone kind of convinced you that you had to say yes. Or when you went to school, when you got married. Think of how many times in life we made choices because we were told that there's no other choice that we deserve or are going to have. Better do it now, because it's not going to be there tomorrow, like there's a shortage of people. So we go out and we meet the first person or second person, boom, we get married. Well, today, would you still be in the same relationships that you originally got yourself into? Yes or no? No. How many would say yes? About 4. How many would say no? About 100. All right. But what caused you to say yes? It was the conditioned responses of honoring other people's values and virtues as if they should automatically be your own. And for a period of time, all we know is what people have taught us. We don't know whether it's going to work. We hope it does. We hope that the virtues and values others gave us will work, and sometimes they do. I'm a baby boomer. My father and mother grew up in the Great Depression. They taught me a lot about morality and ethics and honor and honoring your word. Oh, I'm so happy I got that because I believed in that and it's worked for me. But even today, I was saying to someone, a whole generation of kids are growing up, don't have any concept of honor, work ethic. They don't. Now, I'm not the only one who thinks this. Being an employer, I see it too. People just don't care. They care about the entitlement. What's in it for me? They don't care about the quality of the work or the consequences of their actions. How'd that happen? Because my generation, unfortunately, did not give the same virtues that our parents gave us, because we never had to suffer like our parents did. We hadn't had a 12-year depression and a 4-year war, but they did. They didn't need everything that we have today to be happy. With a lot less, they were a lot happier. As a result, a whole generation has missed the input that we received. And you know, you wake up one day and you're 40 or 45 or 50 or 55 and you think, wow, am I glad that I've gotten what I have? Now maybe I should really pay attention and self-actualize it all the time. And that's when you begin to think very carefully about what you're going to say yes or no to. Think about it and ask yourself, will saying yes or saying no Bring back balance. And with balance comes the energy of balance. And surrender imbalance, and with it surrender the negative energy of imbalance. So you're surrendering one energy and bringing in another. Bring in the positive, surrender the negative. No matter what's happened in the past, I have a right to start over today. Today is the day that I will say yes to what creates balance and no to what does not. Want to take away my time? No. Want to share love? Yes. Want to be kind? Yes. Want to be negative? No. Want to be dishonest? No. Want to lie? No. Think of all the yes and no's that shouldn't be a question. Yet how many times have people said nothing when they should have found their voice, but they were afraid of the consequences of speaking up? How many doctors spoke up? 700,000 doctors, and how many of them spoke up for the few who were taking a step forward into that wilderness and blazing a path in alternative medicine, who had the courage to do so, and then immediately were set upon by the FDA on one side and the attorney generals of the different states and medical boards on the other side. They were ambushed from both sides, and they weren't prepared for a fight. These were peacemakers, not war makers. And so they were helpless. They had the interest of the patient at heart. They had great character and courage. And the public watched with dismay and stayed indifferent. And their colleagues, cowards that they are, were hiding in their insecurity. Well, if I step forward and say something, I could be a target. There will be a time in their life when they have to come to grips with the consequences of their silence. So when you know that you have to speak up on something in order to maintain your balance emotionally, do so. Because being silent in the face of apartheid, racism, sexism, or any form of human rights violation is wrong. And I don't have to tell you that, but that's what it is, and we have to find the courage to say no. And right now as a nation, we can't find that courage. We're letting very misguided people who themselves have the wrong virtues make choices for us when we should have the courage to make my own and your choice. Next, number 3. You're not the same today. What's changed? We like to think of being the same. When we buy clothes, we don't buy clothes thinking that next year I can't fit into them, or they're not going to look right. And yet how many times have we bought stuff doesn't fit and we don't want to give it away? Or stuff that we wonder, did I buy that? What was I on to buy that? Life changes every second of every day. It's going forward. Like a wonderful stream that's flowing forward, then why are we trying to resist change? Why do we dig our heels in and say, no, it's too uncomfortable? Get me the gated community. Get me the consistency. I don't want change. Like it or not, everything is changing. Everything at every level is changing. So would it be better if we simply allowed ourselves to be able to change, but control the change that we are going to experience, rather than end up being a victim of what we did not choose to control? I was on a television program today, and the host of the show said, Gary, do you really think that you can get the majority of Americans to give up some bad habits to get them healthy? And I said, it's not my job to have them give up bad habits. It's their job to give up bad habits. It's my job to let them know that if they do, there could be a positive outcome. There's 2 doors you're going to go through in life. We're only going to go through one of 2 doors. You're going to open one door, and all you're going to have is you're going to get older. You're going to go through multiple pauses, menopause and andropause. You're going to have a brain pause and a thyroid pause. You're going to have a prostate pause. All these pauses where the body begins to slow down. The biochemistry changes. You're going to see it. It'll be almost imperceptible, and then it'll start catching up. And then you'll become more and more prone to diseases of this process. And so when you look down, you don't have to be a clairvoyant to see what's going to be the outcome. Sickness, disability, diminishment, and then death. And whether it's over 20 years or 40 years, it's still going to happen. And one of the bad things is that now, on the one hand, women can reasonably expect to live in the next, let's say in the advances we're making now, probably another 30 years. So instead of living to be 77, we should be able to live to be 100. But we're not going to be in vital health, dilapidated health, lonely. People don't have a zest for living. What are they going to do with all that time? Huh? I mean, ask the average person who's sitting around today, hey, how would you like to live another 30 years? And do what? What are you going to do? More of the same? You know, how many Jerry Springers and Oprahs can you watch, right? How many Pizza Hut commercials before you want to shoot yourself? So when you are passive in your own existence, the idea of living longer, more of the same, isn't exciting. The other door, however, is different. When you open that door, whoa, you're in a flow, but you're controlling the flow. You're controlling what goes into your body. You're nourishing the brain, keeping it young, nourishing the skin, keeping it young, nourishing the muscle system to keep it vital and strong, nourishing the brain to keep it thinking and creating and challenging. So you're always looking for something that will engage you. You're not waiting for life to come and either reward you or to help rescue you. You're actively engaged because you know that balance comes by going forward. So you're going forward and you're making your choices based upon the outcome that you want. So you don't see diminishment, disease, and death. Instead, you see vitality, renewal, change, doing the things that at one time you had no choice. There was a time when you started to get hair and you started to have hormones, and you started to bounce off the walls. Well, now your hormones are changing, they're coming down, your moods are fluctuating all over the place, you're getting hair where you don't want it, you're getting fat where you don't want it, your libido is somewhere lost between your ovaries and your rectum. You're wondering, you know, if your skin gets any more wrinkled, you'll look like a sponge. And you're thinking, whoa, I don't want any of that. But that's what's going to happen if you don't correct it. Now you can. How many times in life did you feel you didn't have a choice about what was happening? You were stuck in a job or a relationship or whatever it was. You had to bear the burden of those years of whatever it was, thinking maybe it'll come a time when it's changed. Well, now think how many of you are in your 40s or 50s. Your family's grown and gone. For better or worse, they're out there. You've done what you're going to do with your career. Doing more of the same is just like playing the same record for the 3,000th time. You want something that's new. Think how many times people want something new sexually. Now you're thinking about it for the first time maybe in years. And the way you have friendships. You want different types of friendships, more engaging friendships. Friendships that don't take you for granted. Don't know what you're going to say, what you're going to think, but actually can be challenging. You want to see the world. You want to see places you haven't seen before. You want to open yourself up to other cultures and other people. You want to learn a language. You want to move. You want to give away stuff that you'd collected your whole life, all your stuff, the tons of it. You just want to say, I don't want this crap anymore, and let it go. Now you're at an age you can do that. Because, like it or not, you can't justify any more excuses. Everything's changed. Now you're going to change or stay a part of what you were? That doesn't work anymore, does it? Does it? All right? We have young people in the audience. How old are you? 20 years old. All right? Who else is in their 20s here? How old are you? 26. How many are in your 30s? Oh, a whole bunch. 40s. Most of you. 50s. Whole lot in the 50s, 60s, 70s. None. Well, here we got people from 20 to 60. And all of you are going through transitions. 20 to 30 is a transition. It's where people are getting started, figuring out what they can do, putting all their energy into it, where the work and proving themselves, the proving decade. 30 to 40s, you're trying to figure out what do you want to do then now that you've proven yourself and got to a certain place and can figure stuff out. And more often than not, it's going through the anxiety of trying to accumulate enough stuff to make yourself feel good or others feel good that somehow you made the right choice, right? See, I didn't waste all my life. Look what I own, the car, the house, blah, blah, you know, but then that's just, that. Now it's trying to hold everything up like, here it is, take a look, that's me. Oh, no, that's me. Oh, this is me. See my bank account? That's me. And then in your 40s, you're kind of looking at all this saying, well, what the hell is all this about? God, why am I here? Who am I? What do I mean? What's my life about? By 50, you're thinking, Jesus, 50. Ooh, wow. Am I 3/4, halfway? How far through life am I, right? I mean, in our society, how many people wake up in the morning thinking, I got to look for a really sexy 50-year-old? I don't think so. Producers in Hollywood are not looking for you, yeah? Men or women. So we're a society that's kind of separated off by decades, right? Suddenly it's, okay, come on through this door. No more, don't go back. Ooh, no more discoing, no more this, no more this. Don't act young anymore, you're not. And so artificially, by illusion, we try to make everybody separate, as if they no longer fit. Well, you can't dress that way anymore. Look at your hair. You can't get away with that. Why not? Well, because you're, okay, I'm still the same person, aren't I? Well, society, and then you start realizing, oh, society says I can't dress this way, I can't act this way, I can't go someplace. Oh, we made a mess of things. We've just artificially separated out people, races, religions, cultures. My God, we've got so many separations. How does anyone know where they fit? And then they're confused when you go from one decade to the next and now you don't even fit where you did before. There was a woman who worked in a company that I worked with for about 3 months when I first came to New York City. It was a major Fortune 500 company. And when I was there, I saw I'd never want to work in a company. I'd rather be unemployed or work for myself and take a chance because I just didn't fit anywhere. Any of you feel you just don't fit anywhere? All right. Well, I don't feel I fit anywhere. I don't. I don't fit in corporate America. I don't fit in government. I don't fit in industry. You know, I don't fit in movements because I don't like the ego or the lack of balance and the mindset of most people run movements. That doesn't mean the movements don't have legitimacy. I can believe in a movement. I just never believed in anyone who's led a movement. And so then I just realized, well, I just don't fit anywhere. So what I did was I took a look around, and in this world, this woman had been there for 45 years at this one desk in this one company. And I'm sitting on the desk across from her, and there was a group of a bunch of them that had been there a long time. And this woman had her, retirement party, and they took a half hour to have that, and cut her cake and all this. And then the next day she was gone. It was a sad goodbye. Then about a month later, she comes back one day. She came back to say hello. Nobody wanted to spend any time with her. It's like, and it was, I'm watching this, and it was just heart-wrenching because I'm watching her trying to make conversation with her old friends, and they didn't want to. Like, well, okay, you're no longer a part of us, was the feeling. They kept looking, well, I got to get back to work. And I'm just wondering what that woman thought, how she must have felt when she left there, realizing she'd given her entire adult life to a company that now felt that she no longer was a part of them on any level. She's part of the past, not the future, and no one wanted to be attached. Well, that's a lonely person because she had clearly not developed outside interest. How many times have we not expanded our interest, and then whatever we were a part of is no longer there, and we don't have anything to back up on, right? We're just disconnected, and that's when that apathy comes along. So what I did is I simply just created my own life. I just said, okay, well, I don't fit anywhere, so I'm just going to make myself fit. So if I'm going to work, I'm going to create my own work. Now, dumb me, right? I was told you got to go to film school to be a filmmaker, and you got to go to writing school to become a writer, and you got to go to business school to become a business person. And I didn't hear that message. So I went out and wrote all these best-selling books, and have these award-winning documentaries, and very successful in business. Now think if I had gone to school. I'd probably still be unemployed because I'd been playing by their rules. And one day you wake up and realize, create your own rules. As long as you're moral and ethical, everything else should be of your own creation. So I do everything myself. Some people yesterday in Los Angeles saying, you did all this without an agent? Yeah, I did all this without an agent. God, we wish you were our agent. We were your agent. I said, well, I don't need one. Thank you. Common sense. I know when something's good and when it's not good, and I'll get a lawyer to look at the details. Don't be afraid to create your own world. Create what you want in it. Create who you want in it and what you want to do in it. And then do it as if every step you were doing, you were honoring yourself by doing it. And take your time. Don't rush into something and then, as you have in the past, think that now that you've made a decision, it has to be permanent. Everything in my life is temporary. Everything is temporary. I renew everything I do on a monthly basis. This way, if there's choices and decisions I've made that are not appropriate, I can disengage from them. I don't allow some foolish notion of, well, you made your bed, sleep in it. I don't allow that to stick. And that way, if people are in my life, it's because they deserve to be in my life and I deserve to be in theirs. If I'm working on something and it's a project I really feel good about, I'm going to stick with that project and make sure it gets done. If I start a project and realize it's the wrong project, I'm going to stop that project. I'm not just going to do a project because, well, I got to do the project. Think if you'd made the same choices now. Can't do the past, but now forward. Next. Change cannot come without risks.
Without what? Risks.
Change cannot come without risks. What are you willing to risk? I believe that changing the nature of hate radio to peace and love radio was worth the risk of speaking out. I spoke out and I was thrown off a program I'd been on for 26 years and 6 months. Was it worth it? You bet it was. Because by taking that risk and disconnecting people who did not appreciate the energy I was giving, I can now connect with people who are going to respect the energy I'm giving. Everything I do, it requires a risk. Everything. But think of the reward that comes from the risks. Here's how it works. No risk, no reward. Little risk, a little reward. Big risk, big reward. You've been playing it safe. You're so safe and so anal that you'd have to use a shoehorn to get your psyche back into that box. You don't do anything without guarantees and assurances. I don't do anything with guarantees or assurances. And because I don't need assurances or guarantees, I don't have a fear of failure. Because in my world, there is no failure. Just learning from the lesson. Which means that if I make a mistake about something, I can learn the lesson of the mistake I made, then allow myself to say, even with this mistake, I am stronger and wiser and more humbled and humane because of it. Therefore, the mistake is a strength, not a weakness. Don't be afraid to take risks, because unless you do take risks, nothing will change. Nothing. Just last week, I was doing a television program down in Florida. I was in Orlando and Miami, and I went out and went for a run on the beach in the morning. And it was just as the sunrise, and as the sun was rising, and the wonderful cascade of colors were ricocheting across the water in the east up against the buildings behind me, I'm thinking, my goodness, this is the most perfect sense of balance I'm in right now. Quiet, nature, and the energy was coming in. And I just kept projecting, this is a beautiful place to be. A beautiful place to be. And everyone I saw coming up the beach was smiling and, hi, how you doing? And after I ran, I went to a local health food store and got myself a juice, and everybody was happy. I mean, happy. Not that they knew me, but they were just naturally happy because they were in a happy place. They were in a nice place. And then you go to Buffalo. You go to Buffalo. I'm not going in the wintertime. Yeah, another cold winter up here in Buffalo. 4 foot of snow, might get higher. Almost like Indianapolis or, South Dakota or Montana. Yeah. Why? Why? What are you trying to prove? If you can be in a warm, beautiful place, why not? Are we that afraid of being where we should be? Are we that afraid to be around where we can gain something, get the energy in from nature? Think of the things that we don't do because we're afraid to take the risk, as if maybe we don't deserve it, or maybe we couldn't handle it. Start treating yourself like everything you do, you deserve. Next. Say no to overdone demands. What does it mean? We all know how many times we've had demands placed upon us. And because of different obligations, we feel we must honor those. And so we just go ahead with them. It's just another ball in the air that we're juggling in life. And one day we wake up and we're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 60, and we've got so many balls in the air that all we do is just keep trying to juggle responsibilities. And we're afraid to drop any of them. Well, what happens one day if you just let the balls drop? Let them drop. What's going to happen? Hope you've enjoyed Rebalancing Your Life. We'll conclude it next week. I'll see you then.